Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Jeff Releford, and I thank you for joining me on the Jeff Releford Show. Because listen, you could have been doing anything else today, right? But you chose on your way home from work, or if you just at home chilling, to tune in to the Jeff Releford Show. Now, real quick, I want to say this to you. Go ahead, tell your friends and family to download the online radio box app to your Android or your Apple device. So that way you can go ahead and listen to us on the go. And what you do is from there, you type in Biggs Radio Chicago. Okay? Biggs Radio Chicago. And also listen to our sister stations in Indianapolis, Indiana, Pasadena, California, Atlanta, Georgia. And once again, you are kicking it with Jeff Releford on the Jeff Releford Show on Biggs Radio Chicago, the voice of a new generation. Let's go. Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming to you live, baby. And we are here on another episode of the Jeff Releford Show here on Biggs Radio Chicago. Man, from the 8-track to the latest app, baby. We got you. So how is everybody doing on the day? Oh, and I have to say this. The views that are expressed on the Jeff Releford Show are not necessarily the views of Biggs Radio and its affiliates. All right. So, yes, how's everybody doing today, man? We back again for another show here on this glorious day. You know, we're starting off the week pretty well, or this might be the middle of the week for some people, or this just might be a day for you. I don't know. But I'm grateful that you could go ahead and share your day with me today. Jeff Releford in the house. So, all right, y'all. Y'all know how it is. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do some of these intros and announcements real fast. And then we're going to dive right in the topic for the day. Oh, and I do have announcements of upcoming events that we have going on as well. Okay. So, boom, baby. We here at the Vibe Studios here at 2075 Rush Place here in Lake Station, Indiana. It consists of Ryan Reader, the VNO, what you know, myself, Life Coach Jeff Releford of Redirect, Regroup, Refocus, Smooch Wallace, who is Smooch Wallace, baby. If you don't know him, please get to know him. And also Mary Selena K of Rock Truth Radio. Listen, if you have a podcast or a radio show that you like produce, we do these things. And I also cover live events as well. So if you want me to cover your event, there is a fee for it, everybody. If you want Life Coach Jeff to come out and cover your event, we do these things, you know. So reach out to me. Or if you would like to have any other media things done, reach out to any of us. And we'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Once again, that's the Vibe Studios 219, baby. This is where I come out of every Monday, representing WCHI, Biggs Radio Chicago. So, yeah, hit us up. Please do. And also, people, big shout out again. I met some great people to JJ Weinberg. I have to mention this man because he is, y'all know that the government is trying to shut down PBS, right? Had the pleasure of interviewing this man, and he's doing the Million Bob March, okay? So it's a campaign that he's doing to save PBS on October 29th, 2025, this year. They will be in Washington, D.C., and they will need you to dress up as Bob Ross out there to go ahead and represent the people. It's awesome. It's an amazing movement that my guy's doing. So I really love what's going on with this brother. So please support JJ Weinberg. Please do support JJ Weinberg. Okay. And if you want to sign up for the Million Bob March, or if you just want to support on that day of October 29th to dress up like Bob Ross, put on, you know, carry a couple paintbrushes, put on a wig, you know, do your thing. Go to www.happylittlehairdos.com. Once again, that's www.happylittlehairdos.com. Let's join this movement, y'all, to go ahead and save PBS. It's a great thing that this man is doing. I'm actually going to have him on the show a couple more times before we could go ahead and get his stuff together for that Million Bob March. And also, shout out to Shateria Beauty out here, Chicago's #1 vegan hair care brand, okay? Shateria Beauty, Shateria Beauty. Shout out to TL Williams and Ruby Goldsmoke, his lovely wife also. They have beautiful manes. With Shateria Beauty, I want to let you know this. They are giving cancer patients their hair back. So please go ahead and support these people to the fullest. I'm telling y'all, man, this is great stuff. I cut my hair. I shave my hair. But for y'all who wear those locks and love to wear your hair natural, go ahead. Give Shateria Beauty a go and a try. So that's SHATERIA Beauty, and go to www.shateriabeauty.com for all the products. So, all right, y'all. So y'all know how we do over here on the Jeff Releford Show. We have topics of conversation that we do every week. And I just kind of wanted to put this out there because I've been hearing a lot of different notions about marriage, a covering, the whole nine when it comes to this. I want to know how y'all feel about it, because marriage is a sacred thing. It is a sacred thing. But do you feel that if you're not married, okay, that a man is still your covering? I've heard a few notions from some people, watched a few reels here and there, and you would be very surprised that there are some people who actually feel that in marriage, or if you're not married, that a man is still your covering, that he is still one that you can listen to. He's still one that can take direction and lead over your life, Very interesting notion for me. This isn't the first time I've heard it, but I want to kind of share that with y'all because me being married myself, I get what it is to be that covering for somebody. I understand what that entails, But when you're not, I guess on paper, because let's be real, people, sex is still an act of marriage. That's how God looks at it in the eyes of him. It's stuff in the Bible to go ahead and really show that and represent that. So we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. And what I mean by the right way is making sure that when you have your partner, you've chosen the right partner for you. It's just something about how, when you find the right person and that person is there for you and you're able to pour into that person and that person is able to pour into you. Now, in the beginning of these stages, when you get to know somebody, you don't want to mess that up. Sometimes we can mess that up with attitude. We can mess that up with what we think is right and everything of that nature. Give it some time. Feel your way through this thing, right? You want to make sure you feel your way through it. You want to make sure that everything is good and great with it, because life ain't always going to be what you want it to be. But if you take your time to kind of go through the process with somebody, get to know them, don't always have these high expectations. I'm going to tell you something, people. High expectations will always get you let down. I don't care who you know, okay? I don't care who you know. High expectations will always kind of, And there's nothing wrong with having an expectation. I want to put that out there. There's nothing wrong with having a certain expectation or a certain thing that you require, because that word is a standard. We all have standards. So adhere to your standards, but don't make them too high to where they're not attainable. I think that's a big problem with relationships now. A lot of times we have these big and high grandiose standards, and a lot of times people cannot attain them. I get it. You've watched the Disney movie. You've watched, even with men too, we've watched these movies. We've watched certain things that are on television that can really skew our way of what it is to kind of start a relationship, to be with somebody. When you get married, man, it's a whole different type of trajectory. It's a whole different lane. It's a whole different ball game that you're in. You want to make sure that you're prepared to play that game. And what I mean by play that game is you got to make sure that you're willing to grow with somebody out here in these streets. Can somebody say grow in the back? I heard it. If you listen to me in your car at the house, I hear you. You said grow. So keep following me on this, because again, who qualifies? What qualifies somebody to be a covering for you? Now, this is the question for the ladies. You have to ask yourself, what qualifies a man to be a covering for you? Now, we can always talk about this on a natural. The natural level is that the man is the provider. He helps you out. He does things. He protects you. He does those things that a man is supposed to do for you, But if he is not married to you, or if that's not even in the picture, is that something that we should look forward to? Because I'll tell you this, as a man, if I'm not married to you, there are certain things that I'm not going to do. There are certain things that you should be able to do. You were doing things before you met me. I tell my wife all the time, you did things before I met you, right? So if you did things before I met you, there are certain things that you can do. Now, there are certain things that I'll be able to aid with, help with, and do certain things with. But at the end of the day, you got to remember, when you put those high expectations on somebody, don't shoot through the roof. Have a ceiling, but don't shoot through the ceiling, people. It can cause a lot of problems, And sometimes you just got to let somebody be. What I mean by is let them be themselves. But it always should be a growing experience, right? All these things should be a growing experience, whether you're in a relationship or a marriage. But what really makes this man a covering for you? Now, when I talked about those things that are natural, the provider, the protector, those type of things. But spiritually, is he grounded? So y'all know how it is. We do like to lead with some biblical principles on here at times as well. Y'all know, Life Coach Jeff don't preach to y'all, but I like to give y'all a little perspective on here. And also, just remember, these are guidelines. You don't always have to follow them. Just kind of take it into perspective here. And know, just because that the man says he's the head, woman, you still have a mind of your own too. You do. Let's be real. You got a mind of your own. But when it comes down to certain things that you're supposed to do, like making certain decisions or moving in a certain direction, you are still your own individual. And the reference that I like to make of that is, see, when we start talking about God, we start talking about the scriptures, I'm going to start breaking some stuff down. See, in the beginning, God did create mankind first. Now, to unpopular belief or opinion, because what I'm about to say is a very unpopular belief or an opinion, and I'm all about placement, okay? When I go ahead and read, me and my wife, we had a great conversation about this last night, and we talked about the actual placement, and we looked at where these things were really going, So just think about it like this, okay? Think about it like this. When there's something that happens in terms of placement, okay, when you're reading, you have to make sure that everything is structured in a certain way to where it makes sense. And I feel that the placement of everything, how mankind was created and how Adam was created and Eve, it's in its proper place. That's just my belief. And I know this is an unpopular opinion with some people, but I want to make this statement. There are two types of man, okay, that it refers to in the Bible. And I'm going to round this out, and we're going to talk about the whole covering thing, okay? Because there are scriptures that go ahead and show what a man is supposed to do and what a woman is supposed to do. So I feel what qualifies a man to be that covering, he has to follow certain guidelines. Like he says, it says in the scripture that you are to love your wife as Christ loved the church, meaning you're willing to die for your wife. I get that. Your wife, your family, the whole nine. I get that part, That's a standard to me. That should be a standard to anybody who's looking into marriage, right? That should be a standard. So that's one. But when we swing it back to the placement of things, there are two types of Adams, okay? And I want to say, I see where people get this notion from of, man being the head and everything because man was that created first. But it says male and female created he them. Okay. Now, y'all can go check this out. I'm just trying to sum it up for the sake of time here because I know we got a whole hour and there are going to be some points that are going to be made. But it says before Adam was put in the garden, that's a very key element of this as well, because Adam was put in the garden. I kind of wish my brother was here so we could go ahead and have some ideas to bounce off back and forth with, because that was a great episode that I did with him when we talked about this. And Adam, in that first chapter of Genesis, was mankind. It talks about male and female created he them. Okay. So there were people here before this. And then it strictly talks about how man was put in the garden. Man was placed in the garden because there was long story short, there had to be a clean, pure bloodline, whole nine, boom, bada bam, done. Okay. So that's why he had to be put there. But it talks about how then woman was created out of the rib, out of the DNA of man. That's how woman came to be. The notions that I've been hearing lately as to why, man can be a covering even if he's not married to you is because of how he was created. Since woman came from man. Now, this is not how I feel. I'm just breaking it down. since woman came from man, man has that direct authority. So I don't know if I quite believe with that, but it all depends on how you choose to explain authority. Okay. It's all about how you choose to explain authority. Now, when I look at authority, okay, I'm gonna be real. When I look at authority, I look at it in a way where, okay, someone has the right to make decisions for the betterment of us. Okay. When somebody has authority, that means they can make decisions based on the betterment of the parties that are included. So when it says man is the head, I get it. There's a hierarchy, there's a structure, but that man should be doing everything he should be doing right to make sure that when he's following God, he's also able to go ahead and carry out things that God is saying, not just to him, but it should be for the betterment of the family. So it should have a trickle down effect. And even if you don't have kids, God should be downloading things into that man that he should be then giving to his wife. Now, helpmeet. Let's talk about helpmeet real quick. So when Eve was created and she was the helpmeet, right? Help. When we look at the word help, what does that do? That means to aid. That means to help push something forward, help get something done, right? To move something forward, to move a process along. So she can help aid and move a process along, you know? And I'm not saying that's all that the woman is supposed to do. So women, if you listen, please do not get offended. Do not get upset, because I'm not saying that's all that a woman's supposed to do. Women have many characteristics. Women can do a lot of stuff. It says in the Bible that women owned and purchased land. They had jobs. They did all type of stuff. So let's just get that out there, because I don't need nobody coming back at Life Coach Jeff being mad, angry, or upset, you know? So woman is to help a man, give him that ear sometimes, to listen, come back and give him some advice. Now, if he doesn't take the advice, it's okay. It is quite okay. So the thing is, I feel that what qualifies a man to be a covering is that he has to follow God and he has to at least be trying, right? And there are a few things that he can do, to help aid in this process. He has to have a relationship. He has to have his own prayer time. He has to do his own things of that nature, because, and y'all, I say this because on a worldly sense, we know what the worldly sense looks like. We see it played out all the time. We talk about this with our guys. We talk about this. Y'all talk about this with your girlfriends, the whole nine. I'm talking about the women talking about it with their girlfriends. That's what they do. They talk about these certain qualifications of certain things, but I feel that a lot of stuff is on that worldly sense, right? So when it's in that worldly sense or in that worldly era or aura of things, sometimes we miss out on the spiritual essence part of it. So when somebody says like, oh, I'm going through something in my marriage and I feel like this person isn't there for me. Well, have you taken the time to really look inside and know who that person really is, right? Because maybe he might not be a good covering for you, because maybe he might not have tapped into that. I'm not saying that's all it takes, but if you're saying you want to have God incorporated into something, it does take that aspect. It does take a man looking into it to say, okay, this is that spiritual view. This is how I look at everything. So let's see if this actually works. I used to tell people all the time, you have an issue, just try God. That's what I used to tell people. Just try God. That's all you got to do. Ain't nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with seeing how all these things work or come into play, right? You have to go ahead and you have to be able to try God. So if you want to try God, if you're not going to try God, right? If you're not, you're going to spend a lot of time on these worldly aspects. Like he has to have this type, he has to have this amount of money. He has to have this type of job, right? He has to do these types of things that I require him to do, because that's what a man should be doing. That's how you're going to look at it. So if you continue to look at a man on this level, on a worldly level, that's the standard that you're going to hold him to. You're going to hold him to that worldly level standard. But if you choose to take it a step further, and you go to the spiritual, that means what you have to do is you have to now then say to yourself, okay, I am going to move into this direction with my way of thinking, which is a spiritual way of thinking. And what does God want me to do in order to have this man be a requirement to be my covering? A lot of times, y'all, it's not just about authority. Let me throw that out there. It's not just about authority all the time, because the thing is, when it starts to become something that's just about authority, you tend to miss out on that aspect of what else is actually going on within my marriage. You can't look at something, marriage is a very dynamic thing. Let me say that. Marriage is a very dynamic thing. And you can't look at something that's very dynamic and has a lot of intricate parts to it if you're so fixated on one or two things, or maybe your current list of things that happens to be your requirement. So that's what I mean by that. You have to be able to look at this in a different way. You have to be able to say, okay, I know what I want, but since I know what I want, what are those things that God is also desiring for me as well? Because I'm telling you, man, it gets real deep when we start talking about this. You know, I don't want to go too deep in the scripture. I didn't really prepare anything like that, but majority of what I'm saying can be found in the Bible. These requirements where it talks about how a man should be, how a woman should be, those things are mapped out in the Bible. They are, you know. So you do have to be respectful. You do have to love your wife, you know. You do have to not be too puffed up, or not puffed up at all, filled with vainglory, meaning it's all about you, right? Because if you're going to marry somebody, you can't have it be all about you. That's never what it's about. It's never all about you. Hold on. Let me see. One of my people is trying to tap into the show, and for some reason not going to my Facebook page. Let me see. Okay. All right. I made it so they can tap in a little bit more to it and tap in a little bit better. So, you know, when we start breaking all this stuff down, oh, there it is. My man. Okay, and he fine. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. Thank you, baby. Facts. What's up, Felice? What's good with you, girl? How you been, girl? I ain't seen you in a minute. Have not seen you in a minute. I heard you was at the Tiny Desk with Nanette. I wanted to go. My boy Trevor was in town, and I completely, you know, I didn't forget, but I had to go ahead and I had to give that time to my boy because he was in town. Otherwise, I would see you. Felice, I need to come back on the show too. We got to talk about some stuff. And you need to sit in my chair, ma'am. I ain't forgot. Yeah, Felice, you need to come on the show, sit in this thing. So, but like I was saying, these things when it's like that. Oh, you wasn't there. Oh, I'm sorry, Felice. I thought you were there. Maybe I was talking to Ron. Maybe Ron thought he saw you there and all that. I don't know. But you did come up in our conversation today. You did. You definitely came up in our conversation today. So, but yeah, as I talk about these things with marriage, I'm letting you know. Oh, yeah, I'm going to let you know when, Felice. I got you, girl. I got you. So when we talking about marriage and all that, like I said, you can't have something so dynamic and just always want to make it all about yourself. Yeah, it's going to make everything extremely hard. You want to know what a fight looks like? A fight. I don't mean like a physical fight, but I'm talking about a spiritual fight, a mental fight. Try to make, anytime you be with somebody, try to make it all about you. See what's going to happen. Guarantee you, if you make it all about you, it's never going to work. Never going to work. Try it if you want to. See what's going to happen. Have it be a little experiment you want to do in your own personal time and see just what might happen. Okay? I got to keep it real with the people, because the thing is, marriage is a very selfless thing. It takes a portion of a person to be selfless in order to invite somebody into their life and to say, you know what? I want you to see the deepest, darkest parts of me. And I want to be willing to share them with you. So, ladies, is he one that you can talk to? Is he one that you can share with? Is he one that can actually be understanding of the things that you go through, right? Because he has to be. At some point in time, he has to be. So that's what I can think of. That's what I look at. At some point in time, he has to be. If he's not willing to be, then maybe that's something you got to look at into and you have to analyze. How does he process information? Because I'm serious. Everything I'm saying, it can be flipped right back around on the opposite. But we're talking about what qualifies him as being a covering at this point, right? So that's why I'm focusing on the man. How does he process your information? If y'all two have a clashing of the minds, is he actually able to listen to what you're saying and process it? And if, let me say it like this, if your emotions get in the way, is he willing to push that aside to try to listen to you? Because I'm going to tell you from a man's standpoint, that can be a very hard thing to do. It can be done. It can be done. But it's a very hard thing to do because we are two different creatures. I personally don't lead a lot with my emotions. I lead with the actions. And some people they hold actions in a higher regard than others. My whole thing is, all I ask is that I'm just respected. I don't need all the lovey-dovey mushy stuff. I do appreciate it. And I do appreciate it when it gets sent my way. If she's listening, yes, I appreciate it, baby. I do. I appreciate it. But that's not a big requirement of me, you know. Some support, some respect will get you a long way with Jeff Releford. Will get you a long way. So the thing is, I'm saying all that because it's not too much different with men already. You want a man to give you the world or do whatever he will try to do for you to make something happen? And I'm talking about those things that are important. I'm not talking about the little stuff. I mean those things that are important that come up in life when you down and out and you need somebody to be there for you. Like, do that. Show him a little bit of that. Beef up his ego a little bit. Y'all know how to do all that. Beef up the ego a little bit. Talk to the man. Talk to the brother. See what's going on in his head, you know, and then make it happen. Because I'm telling you, when these things happen, that's the true test. You know, that's the true test of how these things will really come about and show up in your life. That's the true test, yo. You really try some things, make something happen. I'm trying to tell you, baby, if you go ahead, you show him just a little bit of that, love and support. And that's how you show him love, by supporting him in the decisions that he makes, not just with business, but his life choices. Because a man's life choices are not always going to be right. I wish I could zoom in on my face when I say this, because a man's choices are not always going to be right. If you want to show me a perfect man living right now in 2025, I can't show you one. But if you with somebody and he tries to give you those things, you know, I feel that that's a good requirement for a covering. It's a spiritual thing, you know, and it is something that is there and it will help. Look, I got a couple announcements, baby. So I'm going to stop this and I'm going to come right back to it. So listen, I need y'all to tap in. Please tap into this, okay? On September 26th and 27th, your boy, Life Coach Jeff, will be in Indy, okay, at Close Memorial Hall at 4602 Sunset Avenue in Indianapolis, Indiana. All right, look, it's DJ Gino's celebration, his 40th anniversary, okay? We got a celebration here, okay? We got a celebration. Now, on the 26th, it's the Funk Fest, okay? Follow me now. Dougie Fresh, Confunction, Lakeside, Midnight Star, Al Hudson with One Way, okay? That's going to be all on the first night of the 26th, on that Friday. Now, on the 27th, baby, we got the Classic Comedy Jam, okay? That's D. Ray Davis, Jess Hilarious, the homie Earthquake, legendary Earthquake in the building, Tony Roberts. Tony Roberts is going to be in the building as well. And Amber James. Listen, y'all, when I tell y'all it's going to be a jam-packed 2 days, we are giving away tickets to this event, okay? We are giving away tickets to not just the one, but the 2-day event, okay? We are giving away tickets to this. So please, I'm going to be there on the 26th and 27th in Indy. And if you listen and you want the tickets, please inbox your boy. Tap in. For those who got my number, send me a text message. Okay. For those who follow me on social media, inbox me and say, I want tickets. And I got you, baby. I got you. Because the crew is going to be down there. And we in the game. All right. So I had to shout that out real quick and let y'all know where we're going to be at. Because Biggs Radio is always in the building doing certain things. And when I'm up and I'm able to make those things, I do go. And that is something that I will definitely be in attendance with. So, baby, we back on the subject. And remember, the views of the Jeff Releford Show are not necessarily the views of Biggs Radio or its affiliates. Remember this, okay? I got my own opinion out here. We're going to keep it that way. That don't mean you got to rope everybody into it, okay? I just want to let y'all know that real quick. One good one. But anyway, yes, we are talking about what qualifies you to be, what qualifies a man to be a covering. What really does qualify a man to be a covering out here? I'm just trying to let y'all know, man, there's some stuff out here. When we really when we start talking about being a covering spiritually, what that does for you and for somebody else. A man's job is really to make sure that space is a good space. I know what a woman can do, but a man should be able to make sure that it's a safe space too, a safe haven for that woman to be herself, to express some things, to say some things, right? So that you're not judging. The Bible says, judge not, and you should not be judged. Let's just go ahead and take that one scripture and just see what that is about real quick. Judge not, and you shall not be judged, okay? When you judging your brother, maybe your brother won't come back and judge you because you judge them. Maybe it's a reciprocity thing. For my people that don't know what the word reciprocity is, maybe it's something that could just be reciprocated back to you. And reciprocate is treat others how you want to be treated. There we go, baby. Simplified it all. Simplified it all. Just like that. Shout out to the homie Joseph Coleman who was on the show, man. Joseph Coleman, preacher, pastor. How you doing, man? Glad you could tap into the show today, man. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm just letting y'all know, man, these things are for real. These things are for real. A man should be able to provide that safe space for that woman as well. It's never just one-sided. So again, a lot of these things that I'm saying, these things will double back, and a woman can provide these things as well. Just remember, y'all, we do it in different ways. Don't try to have this such a high standard for a man that he can't achieve it, because I'm going to let you know, if a man sees that your standard is too high, he will go somewhere else. He will. He don't have to stay. The same, like how women say, I don't have to stay in this. I don't have to be doing all this. We don't have to go ahead and da. The same goes for men too. Men don't have to put up with any of that. Make your standards attainable. Okay? Make sure the man not reaching for a star that he can't ever reach, a star that he gonna be chasing. And Brother Coleman, I'm doing good, man. I'm good. Again, we just talking about this today, brother. Talk about a man being a covering. What qualifies a man to be a covering? Because I kind of feel that, I've been seeing some notions and seeing some reels out here that just say that just because man was created, first, that qualifies him. That necessarily doesn't qualify him just because that man was created first, because every man is not a leader. Can I throw it out there for the ladies? Every man is not a leader. Every man isn't. There are some selfish men out here. I'm just being honest. I'm not saying that so women can be like, oh my God, Jeff, life coach Jeff. Yes, yes, yes. Look, take your own personal opinion out of it and just look at that as a general statement that has some truth to it. Can we do that for the sake of the show, people? Let's do that for the sake of the show. Take out your own personal things that have happened to you. And that's not to negate what has happened to you personally, because I get it. Your boy has had his heart broken in the past as well. But in order to get over that, what you got to do, you have to be able to put those things that are in the past, so that sometimes, let me tell y'all something. Sometimes the only reason why we can't see a better future is because we haven't got rid of our past yet. I just want to make it plain. I just want to say it so somebody understand it. I want to make sure it's understood. The big reason as to why It's hard for a lot of us to move on. It's because we be holding on, baby. We hold on to a lot of people that hurt us and we don't want to move on. I don't know why. It's just move on. Let it go. I'm not saying that there ain't going to be some trauma involved. Okay, can I say that? Can I just say, because, again, people like to go for the head. They like to cut right at the head. When you first say something, they like to say, well, like, I don't, not quite necessary. I'm not saying that there ain't going to be no trauma involved. That's a whole nother conversation to have when we start talking about trauma. If I wanted to make the show about trauma, I would make it about that, but it's not about that today. But what I'm saying is there are some things that you have to be willing to let go in order to advance and open up a door for something new to come into your life. And how you treat men, how you treat women for your relationships, that is a very big part of it. Some people don't have a desire to get married. It ain't no big deal. Ain't no big thing. If that's your desire. That's your desire. If it is, it is. If it ain't, it ain't. Let's move on. Everybody has a decision. But for the people that do, there's just a little bit of work that you got to put in. It's just a little bit of work that you got to put in. You got to mentally be ready to tackle something like that. If you mentally ready to tackle something like that and you are up for the challenge, because it is a challenging thing. Okay, man, don't shy away. If you say you want to be married, don't shy away from the challenge when it comes your way. You got to learn how to work it. Man, you have to learn how to work this thing. It takes, and I want to say this to people, it takes time. Can I, again, I wish I could just zoom in on the camera. It takes time to build up these things. Like once you get through the honeymoon phase, and the honeymoon phase is there, baby. Woo. Okay. Let's be real. The honeymoon phase is there. Okay. It is there and it will be there. Excuse me. Ooh, let me drink some water. See, that got to me too, y'all. Okay. I'm back. I'm not going to die on y'all, F. I swear I'm not going to pass out. Voice got a little dry. Throat got a little hoarse. But it takes work for this. Take some time to develop all this stuff. For y'all that think that the honeymoon phase is just going to be there and it's going to stay there, newsflash, baby. Nope. It is some real stuff. It's some real stuff that you going to have to do. And when you met with it, what are you going to do? That's the thing. That's the thing. When you're met with it, what are you going to do? Because I tell you, at the beginning of mine, we were really tested. We were very tested. There are a lot of things that happened that I could have left, and it could have been too much for me. But because this is the life that I chose, and this is what I said I was going to do, I stuck through it. I stayed there. I stood by my wife. That's what I did. Boom, bada bam. So that's why I say, people, you got to have a mindset for this. You can't just walk into something and think it's going to be one way. I want you to take every thought that you had out. Women, because we talking about what requires a man to be covered. Everything that you thought that required a man to be a covering, that you thought was going to be in that marriage, how you thought it was going to be, I need you to take that out of your head. Because for those that have been married before, they get it. They see a little something. And again, you just make the choice if you want to go that second time around with it or not. Strictly your choice. Ain't nobody dogging you because you ain't married. Strictly your choice. But for the ones that wish to be, because I was married before, there are certain things that I had to choose to revamp about myself. There are certain things that I had to choose to do differently. So you can't be shy, or you can't shy away from doing those things differently because it didn't work out the first time. Because guess what? Newsflash, baby. It's sometimes, it's not always the person that you with. You have to remember that there are certain things that you didn't do in the beginning to try to get it right. We got a comment. My baby says, marriage after development and growing through struggles together is way better than the honeymoon phase if you make it through. Marriage does get better. And it's true, it does. It does get better. And to add on to that, it takes two people to do that. Two people have to be willing to work through that phase, that happiness phase, that happiness time. Because if you could work through that happiness time of it and understand and realize that there are real life challenges that go along with this, some real life challenges that go along with this, then you can make it through. You can last a little bit. Shout out to the ones that's been out there 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Shout out to my grandparents. They were married for 48 years, almost 50. Something. So, yeah, I agree with that statement. Yeah, marriage after development and growing through struggles together is way better than the honeymoon phase. If you make it through, marriage gets better. It does. And again, you got to be with the right one. So, men, let's try to. I challenge men. Let's try to make a good environment for our women, and to say on the flip side of that, if a man is trying to do his best to make a good environment for you, women, try to make that good environment for him. I'm not saying because nobody has to cater, nobody has to back down. I'm not saying that somebody has to sacrifice something. Because at the end of the day, in a marriage, two people do sacrifice some things. But you only sacrifice because you're trying. That's the deal. Not supposed to just give it all away. You're not just supposed to give up your life, your hopes, your dreams, the different things that you want to do out of this. No, the whole purpose is to mesh these things together. Right? You're supposed to bring them together so you can move forward. If you're not with somebody, you can't do that. Maybe we do need to reanalyze and reassess some things. Maybe we need to redirect, regroup, refocus. Maybe we need to shift some mindset, right? Look at some self-awareness and then have a call to action. I just threw the shameless plug in there. Maybe we have to do some things like that. Because it takes an adult to understand that it's time for a change. It takes an adult to understand. Now, I know what it says in the Bible about God hating divorce. I get that. I understand that part. I do. Because let's put it in perspective. I put my own self in there. I did something that God hates, right? That's what I did. I went through something that God hated. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't redemption on the other side because I did something like that. That doesn't mean that I couldn't be happy. That doesn't mean that God couldn't give me a second chance to get it right. So for my people that went through that the first time, go ahead and try to get it right. Stakes is in the building. What's up, Stakes? DJ Stakes, what's good with you, brother? Thanks for tapping in, tuning into the Jeff Releford Show, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah. Just because you failed it the first time. And let me tell y'all this. If the first one doesn't work out, it's not a failure. Okay? Men, women, if it doesn't work out the first time, it is not a failure. It is your responsibility to take those things that you learned from that particular marriage. You take those things that you learned, good and bad. See where you kind of fell short at. Don't be so quick. Oh my gosh, I want to tell y'all, man, some of y'all, when y'all get divorced, y'all be ready to blame that person for everything. Like you didn't do nothing. Like you did zero. Like you don't even have a check mark on your list of what was done wrong. Like you did everything perfect. Newsflash. Nobody does everything perfect in a marriage. So if something is it's not a failure, it's a lesson. You're supposed to take that lesson that you learned or the lessons that you learned from your first marriage and see what you could do to make that better. I'm not saying be married 4, 5, 6 times. Like, you really got to put in some work to change and to try to make something better for yourself. But that's knowing thyself. You have to know who you are as a person, yo. Oh, man, when I tell y'all to get in this, you have to know who you are as a person. And you have to stick to that. Can I say that one more time? Y'all hear me in the back? Like, you have to know who you are as a person, and you have to stick to that. Now, if your way might come off a little bit harsh or might come off a little bit such and such to a person, there are different ways that you can tone things down when you're having conversation or when you're expressing an opinion or something like that.
because it's interesting because everybody I know who's been married has gone through that. It's stuff I've witnessed from my friends being married. It's like, yo, your wife literally jabbed out at you in front of all of us and didn't care. But that ain't my ministry. I just say, hey, big dog, it happens. Because sometimes that comes out in real life. So you see it, you know. It's okay if you see something like that. Just because you see something like that don't mean nobody's life is miserable. We all got bad days, yo. But let's stop acting like that. Let's stop acting like that. It's just one person. It ain't ever just one person. Never. If I had a big sign behind me that said never, I swear I would put never. So because there are some things that we allow too. We have to remember that there are some things that we might dislike in our relationships or marriage that we invite in ourselves. We invite this stuff in ourselves because we don't speak up or we don't say anything about it. Remember, you have a voice. You do have a voice. And I have to tell y'all, this is one of the things that I had to realize from my last marriage, I was quiet. Quiet in all caps and about 5 exclamation points. Quiet. And what I saw was not the best example, but it was an example of marriage. It wasn't the best example, but it was an example. So I had to learn myself that you have a voice. So to everybody who's listening out here on the airwaves and watching the live and such, you have to remember that you have a voice in a relationship and marriage, but it needs to be a respectful voice. That part. It needs to be a respectful voice. It needs to be a voice that you can properly communicate things to that person so it can be heard respectfully. That means chill out a little bit. Everything shouldn't be led by your emotion. I get it. We all feel strongly about a lot of stuff, but everything should not be led by emotion. You still have a right to feel. Let's be real. Now, we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. You still have a right to feel, but to express and to push that feeling on somebody to where it brings on guilt, that ain't cool. Because we've all experienced that in some type of way. We've all experienced that. Like if you feel strongly about something and then you like, you know what, I see where, that's just really important to them. That's not inflicting guilt on somebody. When you say something to inflict guilt on somebody, that is a very intentional thing. There's a reason why you say certain words, you say certain points. You should never have an intention of trying to inflict guilt on your spouse. That don't work. You want to see another thing that'll put you in that divorce line? Keep doing that. Along with being selfish. Keep doing that along with being selfish. If you don't believe me, just try it and see where you go. See where you end up. You just might end up at the unemployment marriage line. That's right, because marriage can be a job sometimes. You don't want to be unemployed. Do you want to be unemployed at the marriage line? If that's what you desire to have. I'm just saying, just try it. See what happens. But anyway, don't try that. Don't do that. Don't listen to Life Coach Jeff on that, because I guarantee you're going down the wrong path, baby. Saying these things because I've experienced these things myself. Hey, Malcolm, there you go. Ha, ha, ha. There it is. See, you called it. You want to be at the marriage unemployment line. You don't want that. You called it, Malcolm. You did. Because these things are real. I'm sharing these things because these things are real. These are aspects that people have been through and dealt with. You can't tell me that you ain't ever been through marriage and not had an argument. Sometimes you have to be okay with a very strong disagreement. And you have to be willing to lay down your disagreement to move on. We have another comment. Speak up and give the other person the opportunity to fix it while still remaining respectful and loving. It's hard sometimes, but necessary. I'm going to read that again for the people in the back. Shout out to Megan Releford in the building. She said, speak up and give the other person the opportunity to fix it, because that opportunity to fix it is very deep. that means you have to trust that somebody has listened to your expressive opinion about what you're saying. And now they're saying, you know what? Okay, I'm going to try to hear what you're saying so I can correct it. Regardless, if I think I didn't do anything wrong, just because you told me, right? Just because you told me something about me, I'm not going to disregard what it is that you might see. So give me a chance to assess and then fix. Yeah, that baby, I get it. Kimberly say, "Hey, Megan." So yeah, it's a thing out here. This thing is for real. And again, I'm saying all this because these are things that I've been through. These are things that I know that plenty of people have been through. And shout out to my people that choose to be single. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I feel that there is a very big like weight or pressure for people to get married sometimes. I feel that there's a big pressure on people to walk down that aisle and to have somebody. But we have to remember that a lot of times, though, some people don't want that pressure. Some people are just fine with doing for them. You can date, you got your little boyfriend, girlfriend, da-da-da-da-da, whoop-de-woo, right? You can have that. Because we do need companionship. We do desire companionship. Let's be real. You're a man, you're a woman, you desire some type of companionship. If anybody was to tell me that they do not desire some type of companionship, you lying. You lied. Lyin. Lying. Malcolm talk about I'm super single. Malcolm, you funny, man. He said he's super single. Super single out here. But yeah, we all desire some companionship out here. But when you desire not to be, you know yourself. Some of y'all know yourself out here. Some of y'all say, you know what, I ain't about to do it. I ain't about to deal with it. I got a lot of respect for the ones that say they don't want it because you know you. And you know what you want. And you going to go through it what you want. So shout out to my single people out here who saying they don't want to be married. Because I get it. I get it. You get it. You see it. You say, you know what? I don't want to do this. You might have been through this before and say, you know what? I don't want that. I can go out with some people. I got my friends, yeah, but I don't want that. What did Megan say? She said, being single is a blessing too. Righteous singleness. Wait, what is that? Righteous singleness. Okay, righteous singleness. Shout out to my righteous singleness people out here. Okay. Kimberly says, that's me, LOL. Shout out to you, Kim. Go ahead, girl. See, do your thing. Do your thing. And you know who you are, and you know what you want. Ain't nothing wrong with it, sister. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Righteous singleness. That's what she said. Righteous singleness. So that's what it is. So yeah, y'all go ahead, man. I'm glad I was able to do this show today because I wanted to do something a little different. I heard a few things. I watched some reels on some stuff. I said, let me chime in on this. So, man, let's be honest, man. What qualifies you to be a covering? It's following those godly principles that he says that need to be followed, right? It's at least trying to, knowing that you're not going to be so perfect about those things, but also like, you know what? I'm human. I'm going to try. So women, take a look at this man and know that he's actually trying. Because if you know that he's actually trying and it's not so based on the point of, oh, he was just created first, so he got authority. Sometimes you got to define these things. Like I said earlier, what does authority mean? Authority doesn't mean just saying, oh, I'm going to tell you what to do all the time. Although there are some people that think that way. That it's just tell you what to do. But it's not about telling you what to do. It's about just trying to make sure that you're leading in a way that carries out the vision for the family and how, God wants you to be the representative of the family, right? And the same also goes for that woman as well, because people are watching. So every majority of everything that I've said, aside from what the role of the man is supposed to be for me being a man on the worldly and the spiritual, majority of this stuff can be flipped right around as well. I just wanted to go ahead and give from a man's perspective on what qualifies a man to be that covering, because it's more to it than just man being formed first or women coming out of the rib. Because at the end of the day, as I know, for all women, you do not want to lose yourself because you don't know who you are, and you just would want to take direction from just a man. So, all right, y'all, listen, we got a few minutes here before 6 o'clock. Julian St. Chris will be up with Mixtape Monday next. So he'll be throwing it down, man. It's the Monday Night Smackdown. We got myself, Life Coach Jeff Releford, from 5 to 6 p.m. Then Julian St. Chris from 6 to 8 with Mixtape Monday. And Dinah Lynn Biggs on the Dinah Lynn Biggs Show from 8 to 10. Listen, y'all continue to tap into these great shows. I appreciate y'all tapping into the live and listening to me on air, man. Listen, I get it, man. Let's just do some quick shout out. Shout out to Miss Megan Releford in the building. That my boo-boo. Shout out to Felice. I'm gonna get you on, sister girl. I ain't forgot. Shout out to Malcolm DJ Stakes. Adams in the building. DJ Stakes in the building. Big shout out to the show that we have also on one of our stations here in Northwest Indiana in Chicagoland area. And also Kimberly Patterson. Shout out to Miss Kimberly Patterson. She also is another personality out here on Biggs Radio Chicago. Y'all check out every Thursday. Every Thursday, she is bringing y'all hits, and everything of that nature. Shout out to the boy Selah Brooks in the house. I just covered his business launch and release party in the house. My man is out here doing great things. I'm telling you, man, let's keep going, baby. Let's keep going. Selah, you're going to be on the show again too, baby. We're going to get it scheduled. We're going to get it happening out here. So it's your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming to you live on WCHI Biggs Radio Chicago. From the A-Track to the latest that, baby, we got you covered. And remember, redirect, regroup, refocus. I love y'all so very much. And peace out.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Jeff Releford, and I thank you for joining me on the Jeff Releford Show. Because listen, you could have been doing anything else today, right? But you chose on your way home from work, or if you just at home chilling, to tune in to the Jeff Releford Show. Now, real quick, I want to say this to you. Go ahead, tell your friends and family to download the online radio box app to your Android or your Apple device. So that way you can go ahead and listen to us on the go. And what you do is from there, you type in Biggs Radio Chicago. Okay? Biggs Radio Chicago. And also listen to our sister stations in Indianapolis, Indiana, Pasadena, California, Atlanta, Georgia. And once again, you are kicking it with Jeff Releford on the Jeff Releford Show on Biggs Radio Chicago, the voice of a new generation. Let's go.